Welcome back to Raiders in Focus, the Randolph School podcast. I'm Elizabeth Crampsey, Director of Marketing and Communications.
And I'm Glynn Below, Director of Admission. We're really glad you're joining us today.
Yes, on this podcast, we take listeners inside of Randolph. We share the stories, programs, and values that shape our community and decisions that we make as a school.
And today's conversation is one that impacts every part of campus development. Whether families realize it or not, development plays a role in so much of what makes Randolph what it is.
That includes annual fundraising, our capital campaign, and so much more. Our goal today is to pull back the curtain a bit and talk about what development really looks like at Randolph and why it matters.
Exactly. It's not just about fundraising, it's about supporting programs, people, and opportunities that benefit our entire community.
So today's guest is none other than Meade Davis, our Director of Development. She's the perfect person to talk about this with us.
Meade leads our development efforts and works closely with school leadership to strengthen Randolph's philanthropic support and long term sustainability.
Glenn and I are lucky to work alongside Meade every day. She brings a thoughtful, mission driven perspective to how fundraising supports our students, faculty, programs, and the entire community. And by the way, she's a lot of fun. You should talk to her. She's just the best.
True that. Meade, we're so glad you're here. Welcome to Raiders in Focus.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. And I would echo that working with the two of y'all every day is just a joy. So thank you for all that you do and contribute to the school.
Thank you, Meade. Work should be fun. And I'm glad that we have fun doing it. Tell us about yourself. What's your origin story? How'd you get here? Go back before even Randolph.
Great. I could go back a long ways. So my father was a school superintendent a lot of my life. I just grew up in the education world. I would say that my origin story and what brought me here, though, actually begins even before my father and has ties to Huntsville, which is kind of cool. My grandmother was the principal of East Clinton. It was the time when schools were being integrated. Governor Wallace actually sent sheriffs to my grandmother's house, sent police force, and take into account that my grandmother was a single mom raising 3 kids, principal of East Clinton, doing everything she could to make it work, right? Police showed up at her door and threatened her and said, "You will not open schools." And she basically said, "I don't work for Governor Wallace and I will open schools," and took her 3 children and pushed through the line of police at the door, opened East Clinton in a time that was scary for her. And so I think just that story in my family and that idea of this trailblazer who cared so deeply about all children and just that they deserve the very best was ingrained in me at a young age. I think that she made an impact in the community. She was actually approached by the founders of Randolph to come and be a lower school head, one of the first lower school heads, because of that story. She was making such an impact in our community, and I'm happy to be here and kind of follow in her footsteps. Yes.
I've not heard that story. This is the first I've heard it. I think you said it, Glenn. It's the first time you've
I'm
heard
blown
that
away.
too.
This is your mom's mom?
This is my dad's.
Okay,
So
wrong.
this is my dad's mom. So both my parents have ties to Huntsville. They both kind of grew up in Huntsville, but she was a force. She graduated from high school at the age of 14 because they didn't know what to do with smart kids back in the day. So they would just push them through the grades. She went to Auburn, graduated from Auburn at 16. Her parents put her on a train to Columbia to get a master's degree from Columbia.
At
And
16.
She is at the age of 16, yeah. And she ended back up in Huntsville. And so historically, Huntsville has always had a lot of these people, right? A lot of smart people. It's one of the reasons that our school was founded. I'm so grateful to be in a place with a lot of smart people who value education. I went on to college, got an education degree, I think because of her, because of my father. Started in the classroom. I was a Mississippi public school teacher.
Hey, I have to interrupt you. You were not just a public teacher. Let it be known, she was the #1 teacher. Tell us about that.
Well, my first year, I did receive an award for Best New Teacher of the Year. That was an exciting time, but working in the public school in Mississippi, it was a very different school from Randolph, and it taught me so much. It was such a good experience. And then when we moved here, I was just so drawn to Randolph's mission and this idea of, character above all else is really what stuck with me, and building relationships. I think we do that so well. I always valued relationships, which is probably how I ended up in this role of development because the whole work revolves around relationships. And here I am.
And now you have 2 girls that are enrolled, so as a mom, you get to see exactly how special Randolph is.
Yes, they followed me here, which is kinda cool because I've seen the school from every aspect now, and seeing it as a parent, I'm just even more grateful for the work we all do, but especially the support of our community.
So tell our listeners, what is development?
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of people hear development and instantly think business development,
Mhm.
which is not what we do. We fundraise for the school, so development is under the umbrella of advancement. I know you had Adam Bernick on the show a couple of episodes ago.
Episode 4.
And he talks about advancement, and he often says that advancement is responsible for filling and funding the school. So, in your role, Glenn, I know you kind of own the filling and the admissions side of that umbrella. In the development world, we fundraise, and so we really try to make up for the gap in tuition and do big projects, which I hope we'll get to talk about today because we have some exciting things on the
Yes, we do.
horizon. Randolph is an expensive school. We all know that. Talked about Taylor tuition on the last episode.
It's valuable
It's
too.
it's expensive for a reason, right? What people don't understand is that only 75% of with the Randolph education is covered by tuition. And so we kind of work really hard to make up that extra 25% to make the experience what it is for every student.
So 2 things are involved in development and fundraising: annual fund and capital campaign. Can you
Mhm.
talk about the difference between the 2 and a little bit about both?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people in our community will come to us and say, "When is your gala?" And and it's always a question we get, and we kind of laugh and we say, "We don't do galas." And they're like, "Well, every organization in town does a gala. Why don't you do a gala?" We really focus on this culture of philanthropy, and so when we talk about the annual fund, it's all about relationships. When we talk about any fundraising, it's about relationships, right? And so the annual fund goes to support the day-to-day operations. It's a very successful, campaign that we do. We really sit down with donors and say, "What are your interests?" and try to align those interests with our priorities. When you give to the annual fund, your money is going to work right now, which is really cool.
And it's a critical part of the budget. I don't think people realize that. They think it's like a cherry on top.
Right.
It's part of our budgeting.
That's right, that's right. We really depend on philanthropic support to do all the things that make Randolph special, whether that's professional development for teachers. I was able to get a master's degree because Randolph, because donors give money to the Randolph Fund and Randolph invests in their people. And so I know a lot of people have had that experience, just additional resources in the classroom,
A greenhouse.
a greenhouse, STEM lab. I could go on and on. There's so much that the annual fund supports, but it really is necessary for making the experience what it is today. And I'll say that it's no joke. I mean, this year we'll raise close to $1 million from our community in that, which no gala in my mind has ever done. This is one of the reasons that we prioritize an annual fund approach, though, because we really do care about sitting down with people more so than soliciting things for a silent auction or getting volunteers to run an event. That the culture of philanthropy really matters, and so we really prioritize that.
It empowers teachers. They can make a Randolph Fund request.
Mhm.
They can make a request for something that their classroom may need or that has come up that we may not have thought of ahead of time. So it really gives them, like I said, that power to go in, make that request,
Yeah.
and get it fulfilled by the Randolph Fund. And I value your perspective
Yeah.
in terms of saying filling and funding the school. You came here as a teacher, you worked in admissions, you know about filling the school, and now you're working on funding the school, and you have that empathy for teachers and how needs do arise sometimes. So it's really a great thing.
I do, and I think being a lower school teacher here made me even more excited about a project on the horizon, and if you know about that, that is the new lower school project, right? And so when we move on to talk about capital campaigns, I think the difference between an annual fund, which supports the day to day, the now, a capital campaign really supports the future. And we all are so lucky that people have believed in Randolph for a long time. They've supported campaigns over the years. You'll look around our campus, you'll see names like Thurber and Nichols and Shields Jones, Retz, all of these people believed in the value of a Randolph education, and they gave dollars that their families never even benefited from, and that's the power of the capital campaign. We are now raising money for the future, and so, again, finding out interests of people and where their interests align and whether it's the right now or the future, we're thankful for it all.
Let's talk about the Leo Center for a minute and get
Sure.
back to lower school a little bit later.
Sure,
We're
yeah.
all excited around here. Share a little bit about the Leo Center and its value.
Yeah. So, for those of you who do not know, we are in a capital campaign. We are in the Building Community campaign. There are two priorities in the campaign: the lower school, which we'll come back to, and the Leo Center for Excellence. The Leo Center for Excellence is an excellent opportunity. We have expanded athletic opportunities where there's a brand new gym space that we're excited that both campuses will get to use, an expanded weight room, a community space, an alumni hall, which was very important to us because the majority of our alumni did not graduate from the Garth campus. And so they really don't have ties or a connection to that campus. And we wanted to give them a place to come home. And so we're lucky that now they have a place to come home. We can host them before events, we can welcome them back. Um, it's an exciting building, not just for the athletes, though. It's really a building for everyone. When you walk in the space on March 1st, which is the ribbon cutting, you'll see the natural light. You'll see this idea of health and well being. There's a nutrition station. There's a place that we hope to make a little coffee pop up shop. And so I think we're really focused on just this idea that health and well-being of students is so important. And I hope you'll feel that in the space. We're so grateful for the Leos and their gift, as well as many, many others who made this happen. And we're excited about the March 1st event because it's going to be a whole community event. So the ribbon cutting will be open to children. It's going to be fun. There's going to be basketballs in the gym, cookies, everything your children could want. So please come by and see that project.
Sunday, March 1st from 2 to 4. I personally can't wait to go in there. I haven't been in there in probably a few weeks now, and I think I was still in a hard hat, but to go see the completed project and everything that we've put into this, it has so much heart and soul and all the natural light, and that might be a good segue into the lower school, the natural light and this intentional building of spaces that focus on well-being.
Right. Yeah, our school was founded in 1959. I think we built these buildings on Drake in the 60s. I think the the student today and the student in the 60s has changed. We've learned a lot about what kids need to thrive. We've learned a lot about emotional well-being. There's been a lot of changes since the 60s as far as technology and all of the things that come with it.
I think it's
So,
worth noting too that we at Randolph never do anything without thinking it through very strategically, very thoroughly. And we travel a lot.
yeah.
We go to other markets and other schools and embrace architectural firms from other
Mhm.
cities, big cities. So they're giving us the latest trends. And I think those gathering spaces that you're talking about with natural light and student
Mhm.
wellness speak to engagement, which is one of our biggest values. Engaged kids, people who come together, and relationships, in my opinion, have never been more important than today.
In our last episode with Dr. Steve Ling, we were talking about how we modified schedules for student well-being.
Hmm.
And now students have breaks built into their schedule and they can use that break however that's best for them. The break could be to visit with their teacher as if it's office hours and get help to prepare for their upcoming chemistry test, or it could be to sit in a sunny spot and recharge.
Or go to the almost 5,000 square foot gym.
Red, that's right.
About
Wait,
The weight room.
the
The
weight
weight
room.
room.
yes.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, lots of upgrades, lots of thought went into it. That's, one of the things I respect most about Adam Dubay and just the administrators of the school is they really think about big picture. Even planning for the lower school, we developed an entire master plan before we committed to that project, right? And so we're really thinking about the next, not just 5, 10, 20 years, but 100 years at Randolph and what that will look like. We are excited about the new opportunities, especially when it comes to collaboration. You're absolutely right. The new lower school, which will be located on the Garth campus. If you didn't know, we were lucky enough to purchase 26 additional acres from the Jones family. And so the original Garth campus sits on about 51 acres. So now that campus is 77 acres. Just to put it in perspective, our current Drake campus is 16 acres. Woo. And so lots more space. If you've been through Carline, you could feel how tight we are on the Drake campus. About 70% of our student body and faculty and staff are on the Drake campus. We're out of space. We knew we had to do something, and prioritizing the lower school made the most sense right now. And so we're excited to move the lower school over. We're excited about neighborhoods that will exist around these classrooms and the idea of collaboration and student well-being and support. And again, we called the campaign building community for a reason, right? This idea of coming together as a community and not just rebuilding what we have now, the hall with 4 classrooms.
So the grades that'll be over at the lower school campus first will be pre-K K.
That's right.
Super excited about that, and I just can't wait for the entire student body to get together again.
Yeah.
Pre-K through 12th grade, because we haven't been able to do that because we outgrew our space on this campus, on
Yeah.
Drake campus, to have the whole student body together. So I keep dreaming of that moment when we have the whole student body reunited. And your work in this project is crazy. So we're breaking ground or moving dirt soon on
We
lower school?
are, we are. It's interesting you say that you're so excited about everyone being together because when we started this process, we were interviewing alumni and lots of constituents just to make sure we weren't moving in the wrong direction, and we thought they'd be a little sad about the idea of abandoning Drake, but everyone had that same sentiment, that they remember a school when we were K through 12 all on the same campus, and
You have young kids passing their older brothers and sisters, high-fiving friends, and, it is definitely a vibe that is not there. So yeah,
yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yeah, so we hope to complete the pre-KK phase in the next 2 years. And so we really hope that we'll be opening our doors 27, 28 school year,
Mhm.
which is so exciting.
That's so soon. I have
So
all my
soon.
fingers crossed.
So soon. We will be
Fantastic.
breaking down so soon. We are phasing the project. We are not phasing the campaign. We're raising money for the entire lower school. But from a construction standpoint, we are phasing the construction. So we'll build pre KK building first, followed by first through fourth. And a lot of that is because fundraising. And so we don't want to put the school in a bind and bite off more than we can chew before we have the support of our community. So we've had a lot of success in fundraising. It's why we're able to open the doors of the Leo Center. It's why we're able to say with confidence that a new pre-KK building will be here in 2 years. And now we just have to keep going. So we really depend on the support of our community to support us and believe in this mission
Mhm.
and get
Continue
going.
Carry forward.
connections too.
Absolutely.
What's the next phase? So we have the lower school. Are we ready to talk about what's next after that?
I I think we're always talking about what's next, right? I think if you look at the campus master plan, you're blown away by all the opportunities. Obviously, we'll want to bring middle school over. Our ideal is to be one campus. Lucky for us, there's not quite as much of a timeline on the middle school move as far as facilities go. Those buildings are in pretty good shape. Um, what people don't realize, moving the lower school off the Drake campus will enhance the middle school experience so much. They'll be able to spread out. They have their own facilities, they have their own athletic spaces, all of the things. And so it's hard to answer the question now. I think we'll get through the lower school and then we'll immediately be looking to what's next. It
It
could be
is the
middle
million
school.
dollar question though. I get it on tours all the
Yep.
time. And then the big question we haven't mentioned. Sorry, it's just so often mentioned, what will happen to the Drake
Every
campus.
Number one
What
question.
Yeah, yeah, I had to throw it out there, but I like to dream big and think
Yeah.
about the possibilities, of what might be on this campus.
Yeah, it's everyone's first question,
Mhm.
and the reality is we can't answer it
No,
today.
we cannot.
We won't be able to answer it for 20, 30 years, right? But what I do love about Randolph is I think nothing will be off the table. I think we're so thoughtful. I think we're
Yeah.
so forward thinking. Could it be athletic facilities? Yes. Could it be affordable teacher housing? Who knows, right? Nothing will be off the table and we will explore it all, which gives me
I
great
love that.
confidence
If
in our
you'd like
school.
to dream with us, contact Meade Davis for all of your ideas
That's right.
about the Drake campus.
It's the truth. Me,
That's
talk
right.
about why philanthropy matters so much in a community.
Yeah. I mean, really, philanthropy, especially in our community, when you talk about good schools, philanthropy really makes good schools great schools. And I think that's a lot of the reasons Randolph and my own personal children have benefited from the experience is because giving the support and believing in the mission and saying, "I believe in all children," which not to tie it back to my grandmother, but the
Yes.
reason I fell in love with education is I think a lot of the same reason I fell in love with development work and philanthropy, because you're saying, "I believe in all kids, and I am fortunate enough to be able to help."
Not to jump ahead,
No, go ahead.
me, but we have different ways to contribute.
Mhm.
So gifts of time, and we haven't talked about some special events or your team that's so much a part of your
Right.
work. So we probably need to touch on that. And something like UTCT is where sponsors can contribute. And again, gifts of time, our parent volunteers. And it's so important to have as close to 100% participation, parents, faculty, in any way, so that everyone is shares in the investment of their child's experience.
That's right. We talk about a culture of philanthropy, and I think that really does exist for us in our community. And we're so fortunate that it does because a lot of organizations are not seeing this. Typically, our parents contribute, our participation rate is 80% in the annual fund. That's huge. 80% of our parents are giving above and beyond the cost
It just
of
speaks to how
tuition.
much they care.
They care, right? They care, they believe in our mission, they're so bought in, which is so compelling. The team, I obviously do not do this alone, so thank you for saying that. We have an excellent development team. We have Brandon Anderson, who's in charge of major gifts, Jill Gaunt, annual fund, Catherine Sullivan, who's special events and alumni, and then Anna, who we could not live without because of her help in the data world. All of them contribute to building these relationships, to putting on under the Christmas tree, which has really become less about a fundraiser and more about a community event, which is why we still prioritize it because it's such a fun way to bring our community together. And we have a head of school who is a big fan of fundraising too. We couldn't do this without his leadership as well. And so he is so good at really sharing our vision and people believe him. That authentic voice, what he says is no lie. He really believes in what we're doing. And when you have that kind of leadership, donors follow, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Makes my job easier
What a
for
difference it
sure.
makes.
Oh,
Yes.
So I'm excited as we move forward. I keep bugging Mead and Adam to get me some architectural renderings because as we tour families on campus, and I regularly visit with families who have 1 and 2 year olds
yeah.
that are looking ahead. So it's so exciting that we can now speak to, well, in the 27-28 school year, there's a good chance that you'll be in our brand new building.
And we
So
have
I'm
renderings. We'll
ready
give them
to.
to you.
And I'm so old fashioned. I like want an easel in my office
You
with
should
like the
have one.
hard copy, the hardboard or whatever you call it. But we'll get it on the TV screen. But I'm super excited to start to imagine our kiddos walking through those beautiful gates that I've seen
Beautiful.
and getting into the library that's 2 stories and
So
lots of natural light and all the good work of Kathy.
a real dining hall with the kitchen
Yes.
and a car line you won't have to sit in all day.
Yes.
Oh,
These are the dreams
beautiful.
of our people.
And
Dreaming of
Huntsville will appreciate the
Yes.
road that will now get the traffic off of Garth and Drake, so that will be lovely.
That's absolutely
So,
right.
as always, if you are interested in learning more about our program, of course, because we still have a an amazing tour where we introduce families to our teachers and you see our students in action. We certainly can do that and then continue to talk about the future. So always come see us for a tour if you are interested in learning more about Randolph's programs.
Meade, what is one thing you hope that families take away from this conversation about development and the future of Randolph?
I hope that everyone believes in the power of philanthropy. I really do. We've seen it at lots of other organizations. People too often forget that Randolph is a school. We're also a nonprofit, right? So we definitely depend on the generosity of our community. We wouldn't be able to sit in these beautiful spaces and talk about the future if it weren't for everyone believing and giving back. And so hope that you are inspired and believe in the power of philanthropy. If you want to make a gift to the capital campaign or to the annual fund, I wouldn't be a director of development if I didn't say, please reach out. We would love to have a conversation talking more through the plans and the future. The campus master plan is beautiful. And I think when you see it all on one page, I mean, I want to give everything I have to the school.
And your passion and enthusiasm for the work you and your team do is so evident, and the community is fortunate to have you. Meade, thanks so much for sharing your insight and for all you do to support Randolph and our community.
Thank you.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning into this episode of Raiders in Focus.
Follow Randolph School on social media and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss our next episode.
Until next time, I'm Elizabeth Crampsey,
And I'm Glynn Below,
and
and
this
this
is
is Raiders in Focus.